In today's culture, for some reason, we tend to use the word intimacy and sex interchangeably. But let me tell y'all how wrong that is. There is a distinct difference, and we're going to talk about the 4 different forms of intimacy right now. Hello everybody, welcome back to Keeping It Real with Keandra. So I have a question for you. Did you know that there are different forms of intimacy and only one of them have to do with sex? So let me break down all 4 of them for you right now, and after each one, I'm going to also give you a little extra tip to see how you can improve that form of intimacy so you and your partner can go to the next level. But before we get started, I need for you to comment below which form of intimacy is one that you feel like you are in need of right now. I said in need of right now. And while we are here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you can be notified of all of the new episodes that I have coming your way. Now let me give y'all Keandra's definition of what intimacy is. Intimacy is about knowing somebody deeply and being able to be completely free in that person's presence. Now you see how that definition didn't have anything about sex in there, but because you guys are obsessed with sex these days, we are going to start with sexual intimacy as the first one. So sexual intimacy is when a couple's experience goes beyond just the act of sex. We've all seen people, men and women, who can have sexual intercourse with somebody and they feel nothing. They're like, I don't care about that person. It was just a, exchange, a wham bam, thank you ma'am type situation. And I'm unbothered. I'm moving on. This is, something that people typically can go through or experience when they have one night stands. Like, it's a thing. But when you are partnered and you are booed up, you're not trying to do that. You're trying to have an intimate connection with your partner at all times. So here's a tip that I want to give you to help improve your sexual intimacy with your partner. I want you to intentionally engage in some form of sexual contact on a weekday with your partner. Now, you're probably like, Keandra, what? Yes. And when I say some form of sexual contact, you can pick and choose what that means, because that might be oral sex for some people, might be intercourse for some people, that might be a little hanky-panky. You do you. You know what you and your partner like, but I want you to engage in that intentionally and not just happenstance. Not just, oops, it happened. I want you to intentionally engage in sexual intimacy with your partner and do it on a weekday. I'm saying a weekday because some people actually wait till the weekend to have sex. Y'all may not know this because y'all don't deal with a lot of couples like I do, but some people wait till the weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because they have less expectations, they're not at work, they have some time off, they have more space and flexibility to do what they want to do. And honestly, they just not tired from work. So typically people wait to have sex on those days, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to have a weekday situation, a little Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, razzle dazzle. This is what I need for y'all to do. Next one is physical intimacy. And I want you guys to be aware that this is a very distinct difference between sexual intimacy and physical intimacy. Physical intimacy is essentially just sharing a loving touch. We're gonna keep it simple, right? It could be holding hands, it can be cuddling, it could be linking arms, it could be putting your arm around your partner, it could be touching their knee, it could be cuddling and laying on each other. It could simply be a hug or a kiss, but it is literally just some type of intimate touch that you share with your partner. I know that humans were designed to have touch. I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but touching your partner regularly can actually facilitate appreciation, more deeper connection that can help your relationship be healthier and happier overall. Now, a tip for engaging in some type of physical intimacy is to hold each other's hand. I know some people are not hand holders, and that's fine, but I want you to kind of like make a game out of it, right? think about all of the time that you are out in public or around your family or even around the house. I want you to engage in some form of physical activity. Again, it may not be the holding of the hand situation, but figure out what you and your partner want to do and engage in that thing. And both of y'all do it, right? To each other. Like, okay, we are going to be intentional about fostering our physical intimacy. And this is very different than the sexual piece because physical intimacy doesn't always lead to the act of some type of sexual activity. It could, let's be clear, because you know what I'm saying, it could go down. But what I'm trying to encourage you to do is to make sure you have both and. If you know anything about me, those are my words. Sometimes you need to have both and. You need to have some type of non-sexual touch to engage in with your partner that's going to let them know that you love, appreciate, care about them. But then too, we're going to have the stuff that leads to sex as well. So make sure you have both of those things in your relationship, because if you only have sexual touch, your partner is going to feel like you only touch them when you want something from them, and that's not healthy either. Now, moving on, the next one is emotional intimacy. And I think this is one that we don't talk about enough, that needs to be talked about more often. This is basically when you can share your thoughts and your feelings with your partner. Taking a step further, not just sharing your thoughts and feelings, but being able to empathize with the thoughts and feelings of your partner as well. Can you imagine having a relationship with somebody where you are not emotionally intimate and connected with them? I mean, I know that it happens all the time. I see it all the time, but it isn't healthy. And that isn't what I want for you. And it's no fun either. What is the point of having all of the other different forms of intimacy if you don't have this one? And to be honest with you, this is the one that most women need. If we are emotionally connected with somebody, if we can tap in and share our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions, and they not be shut down, and they not feel like, oh, she always talking about feelings, she always talking about emotions, she always want to talk. If you can learn to understand that this is a form of connection, that emotional intimacy is a game changer. Listen, I know for plenty of women that if you are emotionally connected with them, the body easily follows. Okay? If you are emotionally intimate with your partner, the body easily follows. So if you're worried about having intercourse or y'all not having enough sex, maybe it's not the physical sex. The sex might be good, but you're not tapping into other aspects of who your partner, especially if she could be a woman, who she really is. So I want to encourage you, instead of being like, oh man, we're not having sex, put that to the side for a quick second and say, okay, cool. Well, maybe I need to tap into her more emotionally, right? And see if that changes what happens in the bedroom. Don't say I never gave y'all no nugget, because that is fire. One way to improve emotional intimacy is doing just like a small task. I want you to this is very simple and very basic, okay? Because if you can't do this, I don't know what to tell you. I want you to literally spend 10 minutes per day of uninterrupted time with your partner. That means shutting off the TV. That means getting off your phone and stop scrolling on social media. That means not playing the PlayStation. That means not listening to the radio. Turn off the music. It means uninterrupted time where you can look your partner in the eye and actually have a conversation, actually know what's going on in their world, actually have questions that you want answers to. This is going to foster emotional intimacy on a completely different level. This may not seem like a lot, but we are in a hyper-connected world where we are constantly inundated and busy and being pulled by all different forms of media. And to be able to disconnect and to give your partner that undivided attention is a game changer. And if her love language is quality time, like me, baby, that whole little 10 minutes goes a long way in our book. And the next one, last but not least, is spiritual intimacy. I firmly believe that this is one that nobody really talks about that much. And honestly, I think it might be one of, I should have moved this one to the top, okay? Because it is so important to have spiritual intimacy with your partner. Basically, when a couple has shared spiritual experiences or practices. Now, that means it could be going to church, it could be going to a mosque, it could be reading some type of sacred text, it could be praying together. It could be whatever you need it to be. If you are atheist, it could be the fact that we agree that there is no God. Whatever you want to do in your world is on you, but you need to have some form of spiritual intimacy in your relationship. Because what I found with the couples that I work with, the life experiences that you have and your ability to talk about faith and your ability to talk about interesting things that happen within the spiritual framework, where it can create a connection like no other. Flip side is also true, where people have very different spiritual experiences. That happens all the time. There's exceptions to every rule. I'm not saying you have to be the same religion or have to be the same whatever. If that's what you choose to do, that's on you. But I know from experiencing the couples that I've worked with that it just makes for a deeper, intimate relationship when both parties are on the same page. I'll use myself for an example. I know how I want my household to be ran. I know the type of relationship that I want me and my husband to have. I know that I need for us to go to church because we team Jesus over here. But I know that I want my household to be raised in a certain way where spiritual gifts can be fostered. We're going to be reading the Bible. We're going to be nurturing our children to be of faith. I know what that's going to look like. That needs to be conveyed. That needs to be communicated. That needs to be talked about on a regular basis, because when those things don't manifest, when those things are not happening in our life, we need to make sure that we're getting back into alignment. So a way to improve your spiritual intimacy is not only praying together or going to some type of place of worship, but talking about your spiritual experiences throughout the week. Now, if you're anything like me, I have a lot of spiritual occurrences that happen that we can't even get into this video. The most important thing for me is to be able to share that with somebody who will understand it, who's not going to push it to the side, who's not going to think I'm weird, who's not going to think I need a diagnosis, but to understand that God is very real in my life. He shows up through miracles, signs, wonders, dreams, visions, and a whole bunch of other things that we can't get into today. So that is a way for you to build spiritual intimacy. To be honest with you, I wasn't going to add this, but now that I'm thinking about it, there's another one that we need to tap into, which is financial intimacy. Baby, if you are in a relationship, especially if you are married, this is one that you need to highly consider thinking about. Financial intimacy means how are we intertwining our money? How are we intertwining our goals? How are we intertwining managing bills, expenses, income, savings, all of those things, debt? How are we navigating that in our relationship? And there needs to be a conversation about it. To be honest with you, there should have been a conversation a long time ago during the dating phase about financial intimacy, because you want to know if your partner is a spender or a saver and how you're going to navigate this relationship. But it's important to know that there are ways that you and your partner can foster financial intimacy with each other. Talk about that debt. Talk about you being raised as a spender. Talk about you being raised as a saver and somebody who hoards money. Talk about the goals that you want to have as far as buying a house or buying a new car or going on, the vacation of a dream or whatever the case may be. Talk about those goals. What is the money coming in to our household? What is going out? Think about all of those different aspects and how we're intertwining our money. Because no matter if you have separate accounts, you have one joint account, or individual accounts and combine together, however you do it, you are still impacting each other when it comes to finances. So having the wisdom and the knowledge to be able to understand that this is a form of intimacy that you and your partner need to have is crucial. We talked about all the things today. I'll talk about sexual, physical, emotional, spiritual, and the extra bonus of financial intimacy. And I hope that something that I said throughout this whole episode really shifted and changed your perspective around intimacy and how to implement that with your partner. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch another episode of Keeping It Real with Keandra, and I'll see you next time.